Amazingly, these don't smell bad yet. Hey everyone, Matt here from Doctors of Running, and today we're going to review the Skechers GORun MaxRoad 5. This is Skechers' maximally cushioned trainer. I would put it as a lightweight trainer, as the weight is well down there for how big this shoe is, which is always very impressive. We're very happy to get this on their feet. We have a full written review, multiple tester review coming from a bunch of us, including some of the guest reviewers, coming out soon the next week or so. But this is my video review of this shoe. We had this shoe last year, and to be honest with you, it was not my favorite. It was very soft and very flexible. It was very hard for me to get a large number of miles on it. I managed to do it, and I destroyed the outsole as usual with most soles, especially Skechers outsoles. But I just walked away going, I don't really want to keep running in this. It was just too soft for someone like me, but there were plenty of people who really, really enjoyed that. Version 5 comes back different, similar look. The upper has definitely changed in a positive way, but the big changes have happened inside, which is where this gets interesting. The big trend obviously is to put carbon plates in everything. So Skechers did do that. They put a carbon infused H plate. I'm guessing mostly in the forefoot, although the whole shoe feels stiffer. So to what extent, I'm not sure. I'll have to talk to Skechers about this. But yeah, I mean, putting the plate in there has definitely stiffened the ride up. So different ride now. It's a little bit more stable, relatively speaking, for being like a shoe with this many flex grooves and this soft. It's just a little bit more stable. I wouldn't say it's necessarily more snappy. I think the Hyperburst foam has still got that normal bounce to it, but there's definitely, the ride is just a little bit more rigid than previously, with some changes in the upper that actually I really enjoyed. So great job on this. So we're going to start with some of the specs here, and that's going to go somewhere, I'm guessing probably here. I'll edit that later. But weight for men's size 9 is 8.7 ounces. Women's size 8 is 6.8 ounces. I think, yeah, 6.8 ounces. For my size 10, this comes in at 8.9 ounces. As with many Skechers shoes, you can take the insole out, and that puts it down to 8.2 ounces in my size 10. There is a 6 millimeter drop here. It is 39 millimeters in the heel and 33 in the forefoot. I did not know the stack height was so high. I mean, I can see it visually, but on foot it didn't feel that. It's a max cushion shoe, but definitely didn't notice that being that high putting these on. So yeah, it's a big shoe. There's a lot of shoe here. There's a lot of full length Hyperburst here. Again, as I mentioned, there's a carbon infused H plate, meaning the plate is shaped like this and then comes together here. I really like those. It tends to stabilize the forefoot really well for me. So, shoes like the Speed Elite or the Speed Freak, which we'll also be reviewing soon, those plates work very, very well for me and make it very comfortable for my forefoot, since I tend to have a little bit of instability up front. So someone like me works very, very well. I think for somebody else pushing the pace, it might feel really snappy as well. I haven't really taken this for any major workouts, but we'll talk about that in a second. So getting on to the fit here. So Skechers did revamp the upper of this shoe. It's a lighter mesh with some added reinforcements around the medial and lateral side. Heel counter feels just a little bit more significant than the last one, not in a bad way. Fit is pretty classic Skechers. The last one was definitely fit, like there was room, but it was a low volume. It's like low volume upper, so it's kind of like not snug, but it just sat low on the foot. This one, there is plenty of room. I think those people with normal to wider feet will do just fine in this shoe. Those with narrow feet will want to cinch down the laces. I have fairly normal width feet, just a sensitive forefoot, and I still just cinch down the lace a little bit, but I did not have to lace lock it. So the overlays here, which are very light, actually do a great job of gently keeping your foot on the platform. There is a heel counter. I really didn't notice it outside of some additional structure in the rear foot. So I've worn this sockless without too much problem. I think as the foam wears down though, you might start feeling it, but I really didn't have any major issues with it. The one thing I can say is running in a straight line with mild turns, this feels fine. Like really cutting corners, this doesn't do quite enough. So I have taken this on trail for a little bit. Not the best option in terms of upper stability or structure, I should say. We'll talk about this. This actually dug into dirt trails really, really well. But upper wise, it's really meant for going forwards, I guess backwards too, but not as much side to side. So again, lots of extra room up here, very classic for Skechers. Plenty of room in the forefoot. Yeah, there is a toe guard up front here. I have worn this shoe sockless a couple times. Not my favorite. It's plenty airy, and if you can do it, but the toe guard just creates a little extra pressure up front, but does provide some structure. So overall, pretty good upper update. Is definitely gives me more room that I wanted in the last version without being too voluminous and unstable. But still, I would not take big turns in this shoe. Also for other reasons, the sole as well. Going to the sole is just like the last model with the full length, huge amount of hyperburst cushioning, the most hyperburst you can get. I think I'm looking at this one, trying to figure out, I think I'll have to look at the stack heights later. But tons of hyperburst here. So initial step and feel is very, very soft. As I mentioned, there's an H plate. It does stiffen up the ride. I thought it was just in the forefoot, but the heel does feel stiffer than the last version in a positive way. There is a significant, slightly lateral heel bevel. It's not super lateral, so ride is pretty smooth here. Good amount of toe spring, decent amount of flexibility. Again, stiffer than the last version, so a little more torsional rigidity, a little more snap-on toe off. But the ride really lends itself to protection. So I do enjoy using this as a daily trainer, especially for longer runs, like 10, 12-ish miles for me. I'm sure people that have a little bit more stable mechanics might like it for even longer. The other kind of thing I could see this working well for is up-tempo runs. So maybe for those people looking to race a marathon, but don't want as aggressive as a shoe and want tons of hyperburst cushioning, or those people doing up-tempo long runs or maybe an ultra marathon, I think this shoe might work really well given the tons of cushioning here. You just need to make sure your mechanics are a little bit more stable. Landing in this thing is pretty typical for the last version where you kind of transition forward. But the nice part now is you've got this nice snappy toe off that comes from having the plate in there, which I almost didn't notice at first, other than the rigidity in the sole. So it's not, the plate is not obtrusive. It feels like it's embedded pretty deeply in there. I don't know how thick it is, but I almost didn't notice it at first, other than this mild rigidity of the sole. I have done some strides in this. I have done some hill repeats in this, and yeah, it feels good. It's not the fastest shoe. So this is not the shoe I would choose for a racing flat. I'd be more inclined to choose something like this. But for those people who want a trainer with softer cushioning or just want a lighter shoe in general as a lightweight trainer, which I would put this as a lightweight cushion trainer, this is a really great option given the amount of midsole here. And when you put some effort into it, it can move. It's not the fastest, but it can move. So definitely a little bit more relaxed, but there's still that plate in there. In regards to stability, it's not the most stable shoe, but it's definitely better than the last time. So the last time was very unstable, right? You have a max cushion shoe that you put this many flex screws in and that softer ride. It was super unstable. And this one is definitely better, where the rigidity seems to go through the whole length. So I can definitely do 8 to 10 miles in these without suffering. Where the first one, the fourth one, I should say, I was struggling to get through it. This one, the rigidity seems to help me out a little bit better. I think for those of you people that really need stability, this is not a great option. Yes, there's a little bit of flare here. The outsole is very wide in the rear foot, and there's a nice bevel here, but midfoot narrows a significant amount. Forefoot, it does widen up a little bit. You got the H plate here, so it's better here. Midfoot is not the most stable place, especially with the number of flex screws through here. So those people that want flexibility, but in a slightly snappier ride, this might be a good shoe. But those people that really need stability, you're going to need to look at a different shoe. So my thoughts of DPT is really, again, the addition of the carbon plate. And I have made fun of a lot of different companies going, oh, your solution at this day and age, just stick a plate in it. And I have to say, for Skechers, it actually worked. I think it worked very well in their favor of creating a little bit more rigidity, stabilizing the ride a little bit more. And because I do see this as a ride, as a shoe that has potential for being used as a long ultra marathon distance racing shoe. So It does get snappy. I just haven't used it for workouts because this shoe came at the same time. So I've been busting workouts on this. It's just that I think it did work. And I think you don't need to have a full length carbon fiber plate in every shoe. I think having the H plate provides a good amount of stability, especially, again, those people looking for forefoot stability often have trouble on the market, except for carbon fiber plates, actually. But the H plate, the way it's designed, where it's kind of got these two blades on the outside, and you can see this in the Speed Freak, actually. You can see this on each side. You can see that in the Speed Elite as well. That having basically that like almost like guide wires on the outside is really nice for helping not only help rock you forwards, but also keep you a little bit more centered and keep some rigidity on each side of the foot, which that's what, stability is keeping you a little bit more centered. Doesn't have to be centered. It doesn't have to be one way, just keeping you in the middle. And I think the H plate works really well for that. The other reason I like using shoes with those plates, that plate design, so specifically Skechers, is those people that have unstable forefoots like myself. So people that either tend to pronate too much as they try to toe off, or they invert and supinate too much as they try to toe off. These plates seem to help get both groups to go forwards and pivot off really nice and a little bit more straight. And the reason you kind of want to stay as much in the middle as you can, yes, you do, your foot will supinate and start going out this way a little bit as you toe off. That's very normal. But you want to stay a little more centered, because as you go off too much here or here, you are straining either your peroneals as you invert or supinate too much, or if you pronate and evert too much, you're going to stress the post tib, which the posterior tibialis, along with the calves, are trying to push to plantar flex your foot and push off. In this position, they're lengthened. So you're trying to lengthen them and create a maximum amount of force. That's a lot of work on them. It's a lot of tension too. So kind of too far each direction is not great. You really want to stay in the middle. And so I think that the H plate do a really good job of keeping people lined up in the middle, or at least for me, if they need that. If somebody's very sensitive to stiffness in the forefoot, you might want to be a little cautious with this one. It's not like a super racing flat or any one of the, it's not like a rod. Okay. It's not, this forefoot isn't super stiff. There's still plenty of flexibility. And I think that anybody sensitive to that is going to be probably totally fine. I think that those that want a little bit of structure up front are going to find it in this shoe, which is very surprising given its previous purpose. So I'm actually impressed. And I think for once, putting a plate in a shoe actually did fix some of the problems that I had with it. So I think great job, Skechers. And again, I think this was a good use of the plate without being like, oh, it's this maximal carbon. It's like, no, dude, it stiffened up the midsole and gave it a little more structure, which that's what plates do. They stiffen up the soles. How much you need depends on you as a person. Some people need a lot of stiffness. Some people don't almost need any. So that's going to depend on you. Overall, though, major recommendations. I think I would like to see a little bit more structure somehow in the upper without putting too much weight on. It's great. I just can't, it's hard to turn too much in the shoe. It's better than last time, but I just want to see a little bit better wrap around the midfoot. I would also, from a maximal shoe perspective, just like if the taller something is, the less stable this. If it's something's taller, you need to increase the surface area of the outsole and midsole contact. So I would love to see this filled in just a little bit. And that's what a lot of maximal shoe companies do, right? Except for racing flats. Obviously, they don't always do this, but companies like Hoka and other people that have that stuff, the Fresh Foam More V3 from New Balance that we just reviewed, I think I would fill this in a little bit. You don't need to do it too much. You just need to not have it narrow this much, just to create a little bit more stability in the midfoot. Plenty of people don't need this. I'm someone that does. Anybody that needs just a hair of stability, it would be better. And I think biomechanically it's just better just to have this be a little bit more, I don't want to say straight lasted, but kind of just to have this evened out just a little bit. So fill this in just a little bit more as my major recommendation. But overall, massive improvement. I'm hearing that from everybody at Doctors Running as we talk back and forth. And so good improvement. So Skechers, great job. So overall, I think this shoe is going to work very well for people who want a cushion ride, but just want just a teeny bit of structure up front. It still feels stiffer in the rear foot than previously, but that feels more normal instead of totally unstable. I think people are going to use this as a lightweight trainer, and you can use definitely a long run shoe, especially if you're going to pick up the pace. Definitely potentially an ultra marathon shoe. If you want to do that, there's plenty of cushioning for that without being so aggressive. Because I found doing longer runs in carbon plates feel great the first like half marathon. And after that, if it's the shoe's too stiff, it starts to bother me. You're not going to have that problem. There's still flexibility here while having that gentle snap from the H plate. The upper again fits a little bit on the wider side. There's more volume in this version than the last one. It's going to fit people with normal to slightly wider feet. It's your classic Skechers fit, in my opinion. So if you want a little extra room with some toe splay, you're going to like it here. Again, overall, great job, Skechers. I am impressed. I think this was a great update. You just need to make some mild modifications next version, but this is definitely an update. And for those people who want a lightweight cushion ride, which is hard to get unless you're getting a super shoe nowadays, this is a good option worth looking at. The 6mm drop, I forgot to mention, I almost didn't really notice. I think it does really well. And there's plenty of rocker here. That supposed M strike, which really is just a rocker, it does good. So I'm excited to see everybody else from the team and see what they think. But those are my major thoughts on this shoe. And I think it's well worth a try. The last one was this one is well worth a try as an alternative to some of the other super cushioned shoes out there. I still can't believe this 39mm stack height back here. I did not realize that. So my big thoughts for you is, did you try the previous version? Let me know what your thoughts were below. And I want to know, are you curious in this version? Have you tried it? How does it compare to the first version, or the fourth version, the last version for you? Because this was a massive improvement from my mechanics. I want to know if anybody else does or doesn't like it. Are you curious in this shoe? Do you want to try it? What do you think? What do you think of the color? I don't know, say something. So yeah, that's our review. And please, as always, like and subscribe, leave a comment below. We'll try to get to it. There's 1,000 comments you're getting. We are constantly growing. So please check us out on one of our many different social media sites. Bach does a great job of posting for us. We've got some awesome Instagram comment. We are really enjoying our Science Fridays, and we have some very good content for you coming up. We just posted our 50th podcast roundtable review, which blows my mind. I can't believe we've been doing this long enough to get to 50. But take a look at our YouTube channel. I'll be posting more videos and more shoe reviews here. Take a look at Twitter, at Facebook. We've got a Strava now, so you can keep up with us and see how we're running. You can see what we're running in. We've got all LinkedIn, all kinds of other stuff that you can follow us on. And you know what? Let us know what you want us to review. We're getting a lot of stuff from companies right now, and we're trying to keep up with it. And it's really hard because you have to realize all of us on the team have full-time jobs. We're doing this on top of everything else. So I have tons of shoes I'm going to try to get to. If there's something you want that you've maybe seen us running in, or on Strava, or you have noticed us do a written review and you'd like to see a video review, let us know. I'm curious. So as always, like, follow, subscribe, do everything you got to do, stay healthy, stick around, and we've got some great stuff coming for you.